Welcome to the full FX Unfiltered, this edition in association with oneZero. And I'm delighted to be joined by Stephen Totten, who is Director of Quantitative Analysis at oneZero. Steve, welcome to the Unfiltered series.
Thanks for having me.
oneZero, I guess historically, was associated with the retail broker space in terms of its technology provision. But over the last few years, it's moved more into the institutional space. How has that change gone about, and what have been the influences on the company?
Yeah, I mean, as you say, the company was founded back in 2009, and our co-founders, Andrew and Jesse, have done a phenomenal job assembling a team of people to really build out, I think, the leading technology company in retail FX. Right now, that does about almost 200 yards of volume a day, 10 million trades a day, 200 customers. So it's really phenomenal, right? Yeah. Technology, right? That's servicing these clients. And over the past 12 months, we've now hired more aggressively into the institutional space, bringing a lot of experience from banks, from prime brokers, from exchanges, really with the idea of building exactly that same leading technology stack and becoming number one in the institutional space as well.
And I guess then the benefit of that is you're taking people out of the institutions you're actually targeting. To know how it works.
100%, right? We're doing that, and I think then the combination of the fantastic technology that we have, plus industry experience married with that, means that we can really build a very state-of-the-art system that services a sort of tier one capabilities and brings that to all of our customers.
So this is the second time I'm going to say quantitative, and I think that's my limit for the day probably in terms of getting it right. But obviously a big part of the institutional space is data. So, I mean, how have your data capabilities evolved, and can you give us some insight into how people are using data that maybe they weren't a couple of years ago?
Well, if you look at how the world, especially the FX world, has changed in the past couple of years, before we probably came off the back of a number of years of relatively low volatility. I guess in that sort of environment with sort of tight spreads and low reject rates, etc., it was a relatively stable setup. And in the shift in them, now we see very high volatility, a lot of volumes going through the market. It means that people have had to fundamentally recalibrate their systems and do things in a different way. They're pricing and trading in very fundamentally different ways. And data is really key to that, so that they can recalibrate their entire universe to work with that.
And I guess the other thing around that as well, we've had different market conditions. Since, in the last 3-4 years since you've started targeting the institutional space, we've gone from low vol to a trend, through a bit of volatility, random volatility. I mean, it's quite a challenge, isn't it, for these teams?
It is a challenge, yeah, and especially actually on the performance side of things. I mean, since we were looking about 18 months ago, our data rates have gone up around 2.5 times. So the amount of data going through is phenomenal, and you have to have a very strong performance system that can cope with processing that amount of market data trades and capturing everything off the back of it. So you really need a very strong technology platform to handle this new regime.
Are there certain types of analysis that are proving more popular in the institutional space? When they're coming to, I think one of the great cliches of our world is there's so much data it's only going to grow, and big data, etc. Are there certain types of analysis that are proving popular?
Our clients, of course, tend to use a lot of very traditional techniques. They look at markouts. We have a P&L model, for example, in our technology, so they can try and assign, sort of a dollar profitability to every customer trade. But on top of that, the great thing that we have about having access to so much data is that we can do things like simulations. So for our clients coming in and they want to know about maybe changing their liquidity setup, or changing their trading setup in some ways, we can replay all of their trades and all of the market data, marry that together, and really show them actually live, what making these changes is going to do. Is it going to improve your performance? You're going to get tighter spreads, improve your reject rates, for example. I think that's only something that actually a neutral third-party technology company can do. You're never going to send all your trades to your LP, but us sitting in the middle, right? We can provide a very neutral analysis, right, to kind of show people, both the LP and the client, actually how marrying up, right, will improve things.
And that's quite important, isn't it? It's about actually improving. I guess the bottom line of this is, data can help improve a relationship, but both LP and customer and client have to be on side and using the same data set.
100%. It's really important. And I'm a big advocate of working very closely with LPs and making sure that your supply chain effectively into the system is very sustainable. We've seen over the past few years what happens when supply chains go wrong.
Yes.
China, the Suez Canal, that kind of thing. It's exactly the same in the
Yes.
FX world. And so it's very important to have this great two-way conversation and relationship.
Yeah. We can't have a conversation about data without touching upon AI and machine learning, which is becoming, if we thought it was quite a popular conversation 2 years ago, that's, it's exponentially more so now. What are your thoughts around the use of AI and machine learning in FX?
Yeah, I mean, we're not quite at a level where I can just ask ChatGPT how to fix my FX trading desk. But I mean, AI is definitely, it's more and more important. And you can use it to get some really great insights out of data that maybe you couldn't with sort of less sophisticated techniques, sort of uncover relationships that are more subtle, right, in the data. And again, that's an area that we've been investing very heavily in. Again, the team has built out a phenomenal tool that we can do clustering effectively of clients.
Yeah.
So every trade that goes through, we look at all those various metrics, the P&L, the markouts, etc. And we can automatically assign those customers to say, we think they're a bit sharp, or this is great flow to sit in warehouse and internalize. And that's a job that obviously the trading desk would have had to go through their sales desk on a rigorous basis every week, right, and look at what's going on in the market. Now we can free up a huge amount of time by automating those workflows and let people really get the most value from their system where it counts.
Yeah, and I guess also it takes some of the emotion out of the relationship, doesn't it? Yeah. This is actually a quantitative, data-driven discussion they're having with their client, rather than you're calling everyone or you're skewing me. It's, just takes that emotion out, doesn't it?
I think for the sales teams, right, their client's always number one and has to get the best possible prices, but we'll never get the emotion out of it. But certainly we can help, help with the conversation.
Explain. Actually, it wasn't that bad. On behalf of all traders in the world, believe me, I'm on your side. Some things can't change. Do you see AI's impact becoming just exponentially greater, just growing and growing until we do get to an automated, sort of fully automated world, or do you actually still see that relationship steering it along?
I think the relationship is still really key. Clearly for example, for a bank, a corporate bank, right, the relationship is broader than simply an FX trading relationship. It's around loans, deposits, all this kind of thing. But even beyond that, I think the data is great for sort of looking historically and maybe sort of uncovering some trends in the data. But if you really want to know what's changed in a setup, maybe you see the trading style of someone has changed. I mean, the easiest way of knowing exactly what's going on is just pick up the phone and call someone. And so you can actually sort of iterate to kind of new regimes and much more quickly with having that relationship involved. And secondly, I think also actually regulations mean that there has to be a level of human supervision over everything, so that if things do go wrong, it's almost like being a pilot on an airplane, right? You don't really need to fly the plane anymore, but if something breaks down, it's probably best that there's someone on board.
Yeah, would you get on the plane? It's the old cliche question, would you get on the plane to New York without a pilot, isn't it? It's,
exactly.
Yes. So to bring it back to oneZero then, just to conclude, obviously there's a lot going on there, these new hires, the focus on the institutional world. What do you think your key differentiators, what are the key themes you're working to, and what do you think your differentiators are?
Well, I think the great thing about having such a great tech team, about 150 people, right, the vast majority are working in technology, along with all this experience that we're brought in with the industry, means that we can really focus on delivering a much more sophisticated set of tools for our clients. So it's very much focused on just things which will drive more yield and more flow for our customers. So recently it's a lot of focus on risk management. So new portfolio techniques, for example, to allow our clients to, for example, skew differently to different sets of clients. Yep. Or sort of trading algorithms, so that we can work much more sophisticated passive algorithms to try and extract a little bit more yield, or a bit more inception capture effectively from the client flow that they're seeing. And we remain extremely client focused, right? Like I say, we have 200 clients at the minute, and we work very closely with them on making sure that they're serviced very well and are really getting the most possible value from the system.
Stephen, thanks for sharing your time with us today. Always great to talk to you, and I wish you the best of luck in your endeavours. Thanks everyone for watching the full FX Unfiltered. We'll be back again soon.